Ladies and gentlemen, we just might be looking at the greatest striker in UFC history, one of the best fighters of all time. Already in his MMA career, he's had under 10 fights in the UFC, and he's already one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. The first ever three-time UFC champion, I believe. Okay, don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But I'm pretty sure he's the first person to win a belt three times, not defend it three times. Win a belt, lose it, win a belt again, right? So he won the middleweight belt, then he won the light heavyweight belt, and then he lost it, and then won it back again. That's a three-time UFC champ. I think there's been a shitload of two-time UFC champs, but never a three-time UFC champ. And Alex Pereira is that man. He made history over the weekend, knocking out Ankalaev in under 2 minutes. This dude is ridiculous. He's absolutely ridiculous. He is everything that you're not supposed to do as an MMA fighter. You're not supposed to jump into MMA late, right? You're not supposed to not know any ground game, no wrestling, no jiu-jitsu. You're not. That's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to come into MMA late with no ground game and knock everybody out, right? Well, you can, and that is the advantage of being such a high-level striker. It really is. Like if you think about it, it's a lot easier to become an elite striker than it is to become an elite grappler, and a lot faster. And honestly, it just depends on the person, right? But I think it's more so true that way because TJ Dillashaw, I know I ride his dick. He was a wrestler coming up in MMA, very good wrestler, really good on the ground, becomes a fucking world-class striker, okay? Joshua Van never did MMA training in his entire life, been training for 3-4 years, fighting for a title, one of the best strikers in the division. One of the best boxers in the fucking entire UFC. Same thing, Ilia Topuria. And before he got to the UFC, choked everybody out. Got everyone in rear naked chokes. Gets into the UFC. Something starts happening in his training where he's feeling more and more like a better striker. I don't know if it's his personal training that he's doing with his striking coach or if it's just, him finally understanding striking a lot better. But now he's knocking everybody out. You know what I mean? So it's these guys who have like really good ground games that are turning into, elite strikers, right? So in my opinion, it's easier to become an elite striker in MMA, kickboxer, than it is, and like I said, it does depend on the person, but you never see it the opposite way. You'll never see an elite striker turn into an absolute animal on the ground. I can't even really name one, you know what I mean? Like, I can't name a very high-level striker that was like, all right, fuck it, we're just going to do ground game. Actually, maybe GSP, but GSP's a little different because he was like karate point fighting. He wasn't like super high-level striker, but he's kind of pretty damn close if we're thinking about it. But anyway, Alex Pereira knocked out Ankalaev with a beautiful overhand right, and then faded into ground. That transition into a bunch of ground and pound. Those 12-6 elbows were nasty. But I honestly think Alex Pereira is probably the greatest striker in UFC history for what he's done. He's came in, he's won all of his like important wins, and like all of his wins are important, but you know what I mean. He's beating everybody on the feet, is what I'm saying. His striking is the most effective part of his game, and it's just accelerating and getting better and better because he's just, this is how it is. You'll see it on both spectrums. When an MMA guy or a jiu-jitsu guy, high-level Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy, and I'm not talking about the guys that go in there and fucking do inverted fucking dumbass shit that ended up get themselves knocked out, Ryan Hall. But I'm talking about high-level jiu-jitsu guys like GSP, Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, guys like that who go in there and they have elite guards. They have elite submissions from top, elite submissions and scrambles. You'll see those guys get a lot of submissions because a lot of the guys they're fighting, they are good fighters, but in this jiu-jitsu sense, they're pretty much kind of a white belt. You know what I mean? Like, even me, like, I've had fights, and I'm a brown belt. I've had fights where I'm fighting against someone who's a legit white belt. So I know if I take his ass down, I'm probably going to submit him. You know what I mean? And I have 3 submission wins, 3 first-round submission wins out of I'm 3-0, 1-0 in boxing. And so all finishes, right? You gotta know that this is on both sides of the spectrum. So when Alex Pereira comes in and he's a striker and he's as good as he is at striking, he's also going to do the same thing. Like, he's going to be fighting dudes who are at such a disadvantage in the striking side. And that doesn't take away anything from Oliveira. Or, I mean, sorry, from Alex Pereira. If anything, it's just, it shows you that there's levels to the game, and he is one of the best strikers of all time. What he's been able to do, just knock out so many people in so many awesome ways, bounce back after losses. He is a true epitome of a bad motherfucker. He's the baddest man on the planet. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I respect the dude so much, and just the way he fucking walked Ankalaev down. Bro, hey, we were right. The peeps were right. He was not 100% in that first fight. And you could tell. When I was watching the fight, I was just like, he don't look like himself. He looks slow. And then you watch this fight, and he looks huge, and he's walking him down. He looks good. Like, bro, world of a difference. And you can see his power was there, right? When you're weak, when you feel sick, you don't feel strong. So you don't feel like you hit hard. You don't feel like you're wrestling when you could grapple somebody and be strong. You feel weak, and that's how Alex looked in that first fight. But now he looked really good. I'm excited to see what's next for him. Let's talk about what's next for him. So, I don't know if he fights Yuri again. I don't know. I don't think if I'm Alex Pereira, that doesn't interest me, right? Like, he was going to call out John Jones, which I think is good for him because I think that interests him more, right? And I think that is more of an interesting fight, even though I don't like the fight per se. I would think John Jones beats Alex, but I would like to see Alex fight someone other than Yuri, I would like to see him fight Olberg. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it, just give him Olberg. This is what we used to do back in the day. You fought this guy, you got your rematch, lost to him twice. You don't get to fight him no more. Give him another guy. Even though the other guy hasn't fought, the high level people that Khalil has fought, Khalil and, Yuri. You're fighting Dominic Reyes, which is, a good win, but it's not these guys. It's not Yuri and Khalil Roundtree. You fight one of those guys to get your title shot, but at the same time, we don't want to see the same fight again. We want to see you fight somebody new. So give him something. Give him Olberg, or just sit back, relax. Sit back, relax, enjoy your win. Let Yuri and Olberg fight, which would be a fucking another insane fight. Fight the winner of that. If it happens to be Yuri, then it's Yuri. It is what it is. Or vacate the belt, let them fight for the belt, go up to heavyweight, fight the winner of Aspinall and Gane. And pray to God it's gone. Because I don't think Pereira beats Aspinall, to be honest. I think that's a fucking mauling. And if I'm Aspinall, if I'm Tom Aspinall, fuck you striking. Fuck that. I'm double-legging your ass, taking you down, and beating you up. I think Tom Aspinall is good enough to take him down, beat him up on the ground. Do I think Tom Aspinall is good enough to beat him up on the feet? Maybe not beat him up on the feet, but I think he's good enough to, if he lands a strike, he's going to knock Pereira out, in my opinion. If he lands that fucking right hand, that 1-2 down the pipe, boom, boom, same shit that Izzy hit him with, and granted, he's not cutting weight, but it's still a heavyweight rather than a fucking 85er doing that. And, Izzy's not even a big 85er. He's like a true 85er. He barely even made weight in his 205 fight against Jan Blachowicz. But, like, when heavyweights hit you, it's a lot different. And, like, do I think Alex Pereira could take that shot? Fuck, I don't know. No one knows. I would, if I'm sitting on the fence, I'm more so leaning to the side of him not being able to take the shot at least. Like, he might get hit and go, oh, fuck, that hurt, and move a little bit. But then I don't think he could take multiple right hands from Tom Aspinall. But could Tom Aspinall, on the counter, take face strikes from Alex? Could he take a left hook? Could he take an overhand right? I don't know. That's the thing with Tom. We've never seen him in danger. We've never seen him get hit. I would like to say, like, now I'm leaning, like, I would like to say he'd like to eat those shots because he's bigger, but who knows? Great fight. Alex Pereira is for sure the best striker in UFC, I want to say history. Listen, a 205 Anderson Silva versus a 205 Alex Pereira. That would be a fucking prime. Anderson Silva would be a crazy, crazy fucking fight, right? And let's not even do that. Let's say this. Like Anderson's striking highlights are so flashy, so crazy, because he was so 20 million steps ahead of him, or everyone that he fought, besides, when he fought Chris Weidman up to that. And even then, he was beating Chris Weidman until he got knocked out and then his leg broken. But anyway, he was so flashy, right? They're two different styles. What is more effective in the long run? I would think Pereira's style would be against higher level fighters, against, going down into the long run. He's a lot more, a lot more at home rather than here with his head like Silva was. A lot more fundamental than Silva was. Silva was just better, right? He was able to do shit that other people weren't because of the competition at the time and just how talented he was. But on paper, I would say Alex has better striking, like fundamentally better striking, more effective striking. So I honestly say Pereira's probably the greatest striker in UFC history, and I don't think that's crazy to say. From the amount of time he's been in the UFC, and don't get me wrong, Silva got in the UFC, got in his championship fight in his third fight, right? I think it was his third fight, maybe his second fight, got the UFC title and stayed champion for 16 fights in a row, which is insane. But the amount of time and the certain amount of level that Pereira's, he fought like 2 or 3 times before getting the title shot, and he won, beat Izzy, loses, but then goes to heavyweight, wins that title, just beats everybody up, goes on a crazy fight streak in the middleweight, crazy fight streak in heavyweight, beats multiple champions, right? Before getting his light heavyweight title, he had already beaten multiple world champions. Yeah, I would say Alex Pereira is the greatest striker of all time. He's just undeniable. You can't deny it. He's undeniable. And yeah, that's the video. Make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, become a member of the channel if you want to support. Peace out, everybody.